Welcome to the Property Nomads Podcast. Welcome to episode 324. Stop being climate criminals and provide some solutions. With this episode and some episodes moving forward, they're going to be doing a bit more generic macroeconomic content. There's a lot of crazy stuff that's happened in the last few years, and there's been a lot of cover-ups on a lot of things, and the truth is slowly starting to get out there a bit more. Truth about pandemics, various medicines that have been implemented in the last few years, and that the whole world just seems to have gone crazy, seems to have gone to pop. And being a bit of a tinfoil hatter myself, I spent a lot of time in the background doing a lot of reading, a lot of studying, trying to get my head around some things. And I'm fed up of the mainstream media reporting utter crap, in all fairness. So this is what I'm going to start doing, is providing a bit more macro content. Going to give it a trial, see what the reception is, and we're going to go from there. These are my personal thoughts, all of this stuff, my personal thoughts. They don't necessarily represent the thoughts of anyone else working within the Property Nomads podcast or the property portfolio, the purely personal thoughts. All of that being said, stop being climate criminals and provide some solutions. These just stop oil people. Well, where do we go from here? In short, grow up. Absolutely grow up. The planet's going to pot anyway. We could all do a little bit by chipping in, but the thing that bugs me is that the mainstream media are almost championing these people as activists. They're climbing the top of bridges and stopping traffic on the M25, throwing soup at paintings. It just doesn't make sense. Why doesn't it make sense? It's a good question. In short, if you decide to block up the M25, for argument's sake, like these just stop oil people are doing, well, what you're doing, you're creating chaos and you want to get noticed. Okay, fine. But considering you are just stop oil, what are you actually doing? Now, if I'm stuck on the M25 and I'm stuck in traffic, I've got a relatively up-to-date car. It's not a funky car, it's still regular petrol, but if I come to a standstill, I can take my foot off the clutch, put it in neutral, and I'm not humming. A lot of traffic on the M25 are going to be 18-wheelers, big vans, big lorries. They're going to be churning out various forms of petrol, diesel. And if they're at a standstill and they've got, refrigerated goods in the back or whatever, I'm positive in saying that those carbon emissions are probably doing more damage and more harm to the environment. And that is because they have been stuck in traffic because some just stop oil protesters, climate activists. Let's be honest, you're actually climate criminals. You're not activists, you're criminals. You're committing criminal activities. These people need to be stopped as well. These people aren't thinking about the long term. So just stop oil. Okay, that ain't going to happen. I can tell you that now. Fact, that is not going to happen. I certainly don't believe that wind and solar is the answer. The answer to these energy shortages that we're having primarily has been decades of cocking around with the supply, not just here in the UK, worldwide as well. So we've cocked around with supply too much. One of the safest forms of energy production is actually nuclear. But I'm sure if you mention that to these just oil people, they will probably tear their hair out at the thought. The answer isn't wind and solar. Having an abundance of wind farms, solar energy, etc. will not help run the world economy. So just stop oil. If you really want to just stop oil and you want to pay for my electric bill, you are more than welcome. You crack on. But you're not paying for my electric bill. My ass is paying for my electric bill. You've got to wake up, smell the coffee, as Robert Kiyosaki would say, and realise what's going on. There's a lot of shady stuff happening behind the scenes. Oil and coal and nuclear, they are the answer at the moment. Now, over time, of course, we should look to make a transition to wind, solar, etc. I don't disagree with that. I think that's a good idea. The issue is if you go from one power source to another, it's not a case of you click your fingers and then problem solved. It doesn't work like that. You can have a transition period where you've got to wean yourself off of one and help to bring in another. I understand that. I agree with that. I think that's a good thing to do. But to just turn around and say, no more oil, thank you very much. is not good. It's also not good because oil is a product that's pretty much in everything. So if you got oil and you want to stop oil or whatever, and you restrict supply, that increases the price. If that increases the price of oil, what happens to, again, generic economics? What happens there? Stuff's going to increase. The prices are going to increase. And that's not necessarily just for, petrols and diesels. That's a big part of it. But shipping containers to produce products, a lot of products have some form of oil in them, plastics, etc., etc. So if your cost of producing is going to go up, what do you think the knock-on effect is for people? If the cost of production goes up, those costs normally are going to be passed on to the consumers, people like you and I, and that means, boom, voila, prices are going to go up. So in this era of inflation, what might become hyperinflation, you never know, all of this has been exacerbated by these people who claim to be climate activists, and I use that term very loosely. You're not activists, you're criminals. Stop messing around, wake up, smell the coffee, and realise that this process is going to take a long, long time. You're not just going to come off of oil overnight. If you want to come off of oil overnight and you want to pay everyone's bills and you could pay for all the increases in prices, feel free. But I'm sure your pockets aren't deep enough for that to happen. Finally, what I will say on this is rather than blocking up your motorways and throwing tomato soup on a Van Gogh, not sure why exactly you would need to do that, and gluing yourself to products. By the way, I'm pretty sure some of that glue is going to have oil-based stuff in. Oh, think about all your wallets, your purses, all the bags that you carry in your backpacks, all of that sort of stuff. Products in your own home have probably got some sort of oil in. So, hey, how about you all go away and live in the jungle or do whatever it is you need to do to truly get away from oil? Stop being so hypocritical. Why don't you provide some solutions as well? Now, that's the key thing here, that you can protest and protest and protest, and it seems to be people kicking up a fuss without providing any solutions. The solution really is nuclear. Nuclear will really help to boost electrical supply. Nuclear is one of the answers. But if you mention that to these people, they'll probably try and throw you under a bus for even mentioning that. So really, it is a case of you've got to think about these things outside the box. You've got to think about these things critically. And this is what I've been doing a lot in my a lot of spare time. That's what I've been trying to do, trying to think about these things critically. In a nutshell, get off your climate high horse, okay? Stop criminalising things and start providing some solutions. My stance on this is, yes, there is a big place for wind and solar, and yes, that transition will probably happen at some point. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take years and years for this to happen. In the meantime, you're still going to need oil, gas, coal, etc., etc. You will need those fuel sources. It will take time to get to where we need to go. But throwing your toys out the pram, disrupting the economy, creating more carbon emissions by doing such things as well is not going to help. You're not going to win hearts of people if you keep doing that, and you're not providing any solutions. Please provide me some solutions. Not just me, provide other people some solutions as well, and I'm sure people will be a bit more respectful of you moving forward. That's all I've got to say on climate criminals. Hasta luego.